Hello everyone, and thank you for watching VATV. My name is Khan Mendelowitz and I'm your host tonight. VATV is the voice of Vietnamese American in the Greater Boston area. It is sponsored by VATV, Vietnamese American Initiative for Development. The first half of our 1-hour weekly program is in Vietnamese and the second half is in English. You can watch us live every Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Channel 9 if you have Comcast and Channel 15 if you have RCN. You can also go on to bnntv.org to watch us live, and if you happen to miss our live television program, it will rebroadcast on Sunday at 5 p.m., Monday at 1 p.m., and Tuesday at 11 a.m. This is a live program, so you can call in at 617-708-3290. To watch any of our TV show, please go on to our home website at VATV.org. And our guest tonight is Councilor Yancey. Good evening.
Good evening, Khan, and thank you so much for having me. It is so important that we include everyone in politics in Boston. So I'm particularly honored to be on this program with you so we can discuss some of the issues of concern to our Vietnamese community in the larger city of Boston.
Yep. The people often call you the Dean of Boston City Council.
Yes, yes.
So do we need to introduce you with our VATV audience?
Well, I'm called the Dean simply because I've served longer than any other member of the Boston City Council. I'm the senior member. I've been representing the people of Boston, particularly Dorchester, Mattapan, and now Rosendale and Jamaica Plain for 32 years.
Wow.
And during that period of time, I've had the honor and privilege of serving as an advocate for the community as well.
So why do you continue to run for re-election?
Well, I am, as I mentioned, very honored to represent the people. There's some changes I'd like to see made in Boston, and we've been very successful in making a number of changes so that everyone in Boston can feel more included. But I'm also deeply concerned that every neighborhood of Boston receives city services as effectively as possible. So, for example, when I was first elected, we did not have a police station in District 4. C11 was there, but C11 was actually in District 3.
Yeah.
So we fought very, very hard, and we got this new police station serving Dorchester and Mattapan, located on the corner of Morton and Blue Hill Avenue.
Yeah.
But I'm also concerned that for too many years we've had a commuter line sail right through the heart of the community that I represent. It was the commuter line. So we wanted to work very hard to make sure that that train actually stopped and serviced people in the community. So we've been very successful in establishing 5 stops along the line that at one time did not even have one. So we established stops initially at Morton Street and then later at Uplands Corner. But today, we have a stop on Talbot Avenue, another stop on the Geneva Avenue Four Corners area, as well as all the way down to New Market, so that people who live in Dorchester have more access to transportation than they had before I was elected.
Wow. Those are great successful.
Yes, we've been very
especially
honored.
in District 4.
Yes.
Yeah, we appreciate that. However, still about the violence and the safety are the concerns. So how do you think?
Well, a number of things. First of all, I believe we have to invest more in youth programs so our young people can have alternatives to get involved in violence. I was a supporter of the Vietnamese Community Center on Charles Street before it was built. And it has done a great job serving not only the young people in the community, but also the rest of the community, including our seniors. But to deal with the issue of violence, we have to build a positive working relationship between the community and the police. So that's one of the reasons I am insisting that we have community policing, where the police take direction from our leaders and our community residents rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
I also propose that we allocate police officers based upon the proportion of violence, so that when we deploy our police, they're put where they're needed most, but they always have to respect the community.
Yeah.
But policing, as I mentioned a little while ago, is not really the solution. The solution, I believe, is in establishing more youth workers and street workers and mentors, particularly for our young people, so that our families know what alternatives exist, what programs exist. There may be even some families that are not even aware of what's going on at the VATV Community Center. The Vietnamese Community Center is a great resource, but if people don't know about it, they can't benefit from the services. So our street workers will be actively engaged in referring our young people to museums, get them involved with perhaps college preparation programs, and learn about other resources available to them.
Yeah. With your plan, I believe we will reduce the violence and will improve the safety in the Boston neighborhood. And I just wonder, how often do you contact with the ordinary people?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Can you tell us about some memorable stories?
Well, there are actually quite a few, but I believe that the people I run out into the street, they have many problems, many issues with housing, many problems with education, and of course public safety. So one of the things I do with folks is not only listen to the concerns, but also on occasion even bring them before the city council. For example, there's been a lot of concerns about the interaction between the police and the community. So when a number of community residents came to me and they were complaining about the scooters buzzing around, about 10 years ago we had scooters no higher than 2 feet buzzing in and out of the streets. So this was brought to my attention by some of our community residents, and I drafted legislation to require that anyone on those scooters, they have to have identification, they have to have a legitimate driver's license, and have to wear a helmet. Prior to that, you had children in the middle of the street buzzing around. Well, you don't see that too often anymore. So that's just one example. Another example was people complaining about noise in their community, you know, the late parties, etc. So I drafted legislation that gives the city authority to actually confiscate those speakers if the people are not cooperating and turning the music down. Another concern was brought to my attention is that our school buses may be unsafe for children to get on and off because the bus driver could not see in the very front of the buses. So I proposed a new law as a result of those concerns. And the law requires every Boston public school bus to have a crossing gate attached to the front bumper. So before the bus moves, the arm, which is attached to the bumper, the yellow arm, has to sweep in front of the bus to make sure there are no children in front. That came directly from suggestions made by ordinary people. And today, we're considering legislation to require our police officers to wear body cameras, so that if there is a negative interaction between the police and the residents, there'll be an objective video record of that interaction. So if the police abuse his or her authority, that will be on record. If the regular citizen is abusive towards the police, that would also be on the record. So we're asking your viewers to call the mayor of Boston and to call the city council to tell them to support Councilor Yancey's body cam legislation so that we can have a more accountable police. Yeah,
I know. That's what I understand. And I have read the news about that.
Yes.
And students in Boston Public Schools speak more than 80 languages, and about one-third are English language learner. So do you have any more plan to help them?
Well, one of the things we do every year when we consider the school department's budget is to require that the school department present to the city council their plan to assist English learners, English language learners, because we have to be able to communicate with everyone, and I support bilingual education. I actually campaigned against what was known as the ONS Amendment, which required full English immersion. That's fine as far as it goes, but we have to have the ability to teach every student that comes to the Boston Public School System, no matter what their language happens to be. So we also have to augment multilingual staff. We have to ensure that we hire a sufficient number of people who speak the various languages so that we can bring all of our students up to speed.
Yep. So given that Dorchester, and especially Phil Corner, downtown of Dorchester, has been a home for more than 15,000 Vietnamese Americans, which more than 200 Vietnamese own and operated business along Dorchester Ave.
Yes.
What will you do as a counselor to help making Phil Corner a destination for culture and business?
Well, one of the things that's happening now is the activity with regards to the Main Streets program in Phil's Corner that does represent everyone in that area, and I certainly support that program and believe it should be expanded. The other thing is that we've been very successful in developing new housing along Dorchester Avenue and now in the Four Corners area, where VATV is constructing 2 new residential buildings. And by providing that type of housing, we actually increase the market for our smaller retail businesses. Yeah. So we have more people in the community, more people spending money. That's going to boost the businesses for these enterprises. They are then in a position to hire more people, increase the income, and they in turn can spend more money, thereby creating a very strong economy in Phil's Corner.
That's great. Yes, and I actually like your tie. Well, it makes me think of the Vietnamese flag.
Well, I have to confess, I did this just for you. I think it is
for the Vietnamese community.
Yes, I think it's very important to tell everyone who lives in the city of Boston that you're Bostonians. Everyone who lives here are Bostonians. But we should also appreciate the diversity and our heritage and our culture. We should never forget where we came from. Yeah. So there should be a sense of pride. So that's why.
And I also know the diversity in your family.
Oh, yes, yes. I can tell you a quick story. I'm the proud father of 4 children, 3 boys and a daughter named Ashley, who happens to be in the studio with us today. And back in the late 70s, in the early 80s, my son Sharif used to stand at a bus stop on Park Street in Dorchester to go to school. But there was another young lady standing at the same bus stop. Her name was Kim Pham. They were about the same age. They didn't know each other.
That sounds Vietnamese, Kim Pham.
Kim Pham, yes. They did not know each other at the time. It was only later on in life that they realized that they were standing at the same bus stop in Dorchester. They actually met in Los Angeles, California, and traveled. No, wait a minute. And then they traveled together on a trip to China, and then they developed a relationship, and guess what? They eventually got married. And a couple of years later...
That's a happy ending.
A couple of years later, our granddaughter was born. Her name is Hattie Amina Pham Yancey. And beautiful. Hattie, she got her first name from my mother-in-law, who sadly just passed away, Hattie Morissette. But she is such a joy. Hattie Amina Pham Yancey, such a joy. So she can celebrate the fact that she has Vietnamese grandparents and African-American grandparents.
That's very interesting.
And now she has a baby brother named Hugh.
Hugh, yeah, that's Vietnamese name too. Yeah.
Yes. So we're really really blessed, and Hattie is a very intelligent young lady, and she actually participated in this year's book fair. Every year, my office hosts a book fair. We've been doing it since 1987, so that the billboard promoting the book fair this year actually had Hattie's picture on it. Of course, you can't see this. I know it's probably too small. But that was basically the picture used to encourage people to come to the 29th annual Charles C. Yancey Book Fair. And she loves to read, and so does her brother.
That's
and
beautiful.
her other cousins.
Yeah.
Now, the other interesting thing is that we have Derek and we have Stephen in this picture, and their grandparents are African American and Puerto Rican. So I have a very diverse family.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so we talk about diversity, we talk about children. How do you see Boston in the future, 5 years, 10 years?
Well, I am very optimistic about the future. And one of the reasons I'm running for re-election is to help make that vision a reality. When I was first elected, I said, well, we need to build a police station in our community, and we did.
Yeah.
We needed some more community centers, and we have the Vietnamese Community Center, but we also have the Gallivan and the Mildred Avenue Community Center. And it was great that some of these visions have come to pass. And we already talked about the Fairmont line. People thought it was crazy when I suggested back in the late 80s that we are going to create some commuter stops along Dorchester and Mattapan and Roxbury. And we started with 0, now we have 5 stops along there. And we have a brand new library on Blue Hill Avenue that did not exist before I was elected. So we're very excited to get that done. For the future, we're going to build a new high school for Boston. And Boston's going to be known for having the best public schools anywhere in the United States of America, the best schools. The Boston public school system.
We are looking forward to that.
It's very important to me because
Yes.
I went to school from kindergarten to high school in the Boston public school system before going on to Tufts University and Harvard University. But if I did not get that training in the Boston public school system, I probably wouldn't be here today as the longest serving member of the Boston City Council. So for the future, I see a city that's going to be very diverse, to make sure that all nationalities are represented in every city department, and to make sure that all nationalities receive a fair share of the contracts as well as the jobs and the city services. We can serve people better if we have a city government that reflects the makeup of the city of Boston.
Yep, that's very important.
Yes.
Yes. And why should we vote for you as a Bostonian?
Well, because I'm the most experienced member in city government. I have more experience than the mayor or any of my colleagues on the city council. We have a good mix today of very new members and senior member. I'm the most senior member, and Councilor Murphy was elected about 12 years after I was elected. And then we have others who've only served 3 or 4 terms and some 1 or 2 terms. So we have a good balance, but if you don't have some seniority on the city council, then you don't have the institutional memory to help the other members understand how to make things happen. Because I do nothing by myself. I've got many laws passed in the city council, but to get any law passed, you need at least 7 votes. And you need the signature of the mayor. And if the mayor fails to sign it, then you need 9 votes on the city council. So one of the laws I got passed was inspired by my mother, Alice Yancey. It's called the Parental School Leave Ordinance. It's a law that says you can take 3 days off of your job per year to spend time with your student in the Boston public school system. That is meant to encourage a greater partnership between the parents, the teachers, and the students to ensure the student's success. And I like to call that the Alice W. Yancey Law, because I never knew when my mother was going to come into my classroom in the Boston Public Schools. So I was always on my best behavior. But what she was really doing is making sure that the teachers were doing a good job, that the corridors were clean, that the bathrooms were fit for human use, if you know what I mean.
That's right. Yeah.
And it has made a difference in my life. And I believe if all the parents spend more time in the schools, the children will be more successful as well.
Definitely. And let's vote for Councilor Yancey as a Vietnamese and as his contribution to the communities and for the Vietnamese communities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Once again, we thank you for watching VATV. Any questions, comments, or contribution, please call us at 617-822-3717 or email us at vatv@vitet.org. We hope you have a wonderful week.
Before you close out, can I just remind people that next Tuesday, September 8th, I'm asking you to vote for Charles Yancey for the Boston City Council. I will continue to advocate for you and make sure that everyone's included in city government. Charles Yancey, September 8th, next Tuesday. I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you and goodbye for now.